melting Barcelona.
Yeah,
How are
hi
you?
Alex. Very hot today, over 36
Yes,
degrees. I'm
it-
melting.
insanely hot. It's insanely hot. You are melting. I can tell you are melting.
Sorry.
I am melting because I have an air conditioning there which is open, and I thank God
You're lucky.
I'm a lucky guy. Yes, I escaped from that. It's extremely warm. It's insane, insane warm. Yes, I took this topic for the added value of sales and leadership outsourcing because I think that a lot of people don't really understand what is the difference, why, in my case, sales outsourcing is going to add value to their business.
Mhm.
They think too limited, or sales outsourcing is something that they don't want to do for various reasons. Many of them they have a point, other ones they don't have a point. But I feel my feeling is that most of our clients don't understand why they should choose a company like ours. What is the benefit?
Mm.
And I put down a list, and out of this list, I'm sure many are going to see some valid points that they can already see. But there are also some points there that I think very few of our potential clients realize. So the first thing that I think for everybody it's obvious why they should outsource sales is that in the new world that we live. So let's say you have a business and you are based, let's say in Spain or in Germany or in the Netherlands. So if you don't outsource your sales, and you are going to hire salespeople, with what is this connected in your business? It's connected with all the system and the employment laws of your country. That means you are going to hire a salesperson, and this salesperson is going to have holidays. You need to pay social insurance. You need to pay tax. You're going to have sick days. If it's a female employee, if she gets pregnant, then you have to pay the time that she's on leave. If you fire someone, you have to pay a compensation to fire him. So there is a lot of risk connected with this activity that you are not going to have if you give it to somebody like us. And specifically in our today's world, where we have um, this digital technology that in not in all industries, but in many industries, it simplifies the processes. It simplifies communication. Why would you like to hire someone the traditional way, go through all these liabilities and all these risks, while at the same time you can have, for the same price or for even a smaller price, someone that is without risk? It's more flexible, with a company that has a variety of different salespeople that speak a variety of different languages. Why should you hire somebody on site, somebody in your office in the Netherlands or in Belgium or in your country? What are your thoughts on that, Maria?
Well, I think, yeah, I agree. I think sales is a bit different to what I'm doing, because sales is
Yeah.
something you have to do all the time, right? So if you're in a business, you're constantly trying to sell in general, whether it's a service or a product, and so you know that you're going to need that service all the time. So then, as you said, it's a question of choice. Are you ready to invest the salary, benefits,
Yes.
the work also of training a person, the management, the formation, or do you want to be more nimble and have someone outsource? I think each, depending what your needs are, your budget. I think lots of things enter into account when you make that decision. But yes, it's much easier to hire someone, a freelancer or an external company, because if there's any changes in your business, you're much more flexible, obviously.
Absolutely. I mean, the benefits, and that is why it's a booming business. And since I started this business 7 years ago, it was something that it had immediately demand. So when I started my business, I had clients almost, I mean, almost the next day that I started. So immediately there was a lot of demand on the service. I have to say that because that is something that I always said, and I still stand for that, but I have made some changes. So my initial standpoint was that you hire us and there is no binding contract or long-term commitments. And that is something that I strongly believe on that, and I still believe on that. However, I put a minimum commitment in our company of 4 months. And the reason is not that I want to grab somebody for 4 months to squeeze the money out of him, but the reason is that I wanted to avoid customers that just wanted to test the waters for, let's say, 35 days, because that is something that doesn't make any sense, not for the client and not for us, because the whole preparation, the whole training, the whole energy that we are going to put to run a project for just a month is something that is not worth it from our side to do so. From the other side, it's also wasted money from the client, because you cannot expect
The
within
results.
exactly. It takes some time. It takes some time. So that was the one reason. And I have to say also there are also clients that they have unrealistic expectations, and there are also clients that uh, they are that's normal. I mean, the world, the online world, it's a world where there is not a direct, let's say, word of mouth like it used to be in the old days. So they don't practically know you. They are scared to take a risk. um, However, you need to be also a realist and say, they ask, for example, that's a very common question is, um, what um, what do you guarantee that it's going to be delivered within that period? And the answer is nothing, because you don't know what you're going to face. So everybody that comes out and guarantees results, he's lying. He's lying. There is no other word to put it. You cannot know what you are going to face. You are going to know what you are going to face and what you are going to be able to give an approximate forecast or give a prediction of what is going to happen within the next quarter or within the next year, from the point that you have some experience with the company, the industry, and the product. Then, yes, then you can say, okay, in the first 4 months we achieved X amount of results, so we estimate that in the next 4 months we are going to achieve uh, that amount of results. But prior of starting, it's impossible. You can have a feeling, but it's impossible to give numbers. Yeah, I
So
don't know.
have
Yes.
things changed for you, Alex, since the pandemic? Have you seen a shift in the way? Because I would imagine that people feel more comfortable to outsource now, because then they can work with people all over the world that are not in
Yes.
their country, that are cheaper, that they have more, more access to more talent than they used to have. Have you seen a change in your
The pandemic, the pandemic, we were the lucky ones that were not that hard impacted from the pandemic. So during the pandemic, I was still busy. We were still making business. Of course, it business was low. When the pandemic ended, our business boomed, and boomed in both a positive way and a negative way. the positive was that, okay, many more companies wanted to start doing business, so it was like an explosion of demand. From the other side, as you said, the pandemic accelerated the digitalization of sales and of processes and of the online business,
Yeah.
which increased our competition. Of course, increased also the demand. The product that we have now, it's a more popular product. Unfortunately, I have to say that also a lot of not very qualified companies joined the arena. But in generally, I think the outcome of the pandemic in the digitalization of business was positive. So it accelerated. So what would have taken maybe 5-6 years to happen happened within 2 years, and that is good for us. That is good. So we are not anymore. 7 years ago, when I was saying to people what we are doing, they were kind of, I needed to explain exactly what it is. Now everybody more or less understands
That's it.
what our work is exactly.
Yeah, I think anybody who was online before the pandemic definitely had a little advance on the rest of the world going into it.
You know what happened, Maria? There are like industries that are very digital and online friendly. For example, software industry, or people that are selling digital solutions, e-commerce. All those people, they were before. They were the early adopters of this new methodology and approach of doing business. What the pandemic did is that it opened the doors to other industries that were more, let's say, traditional, to enter this digital space and also seek our advice to sell their products and services. That did not apply for everybody, because there are still like many businesses that are really traditional. Depends also on the country and territory that you are active. But many, for example, where we saw a lot of change is that companies that they don't sell software, but they have some physical products that they have, that those products have a degree of complexity. They are the ideal clients of services like ours. For example, robotics, for example, medical machinery and devices. All these industries are taking a lot of advantage from our services. And outsourcing leadership, is that something? I think that sounds to me way more difficult.
No, it's not. I mean, businesses come to me, they outsource for several reasons. Either they don't have the in-house resources to do leadership development and train their people, or they do have the people, but they don't have the skills.
Yes.
So they might have not either the skills or the time. The time is a big one. Most people in HR departments and learning and development departments are pretty busy already with their day-to-day
Yes.
job. So if they
Yes.
have to start taking on, special training for specific people, they tend to outsource it, because it's just easier, because then you have somebody who's fully focused on doing that, and
Yes.
it doesn't interfere with their job. And they often call me also if there's change management. So when there's change in the business and they need some help with that, or if they're stuck in some sort of situation with specific individuals. So I think the advantages for them of bringing in someone from the outside is that you have a new perspective, someone who comes in with fresh eyes.
Yeah.
Also, for the person you're working with, you come in you don't have an agenda. I don't have any alliances within the company. I'm not working for their, even if the companies hired me, I'm held to be confidentiality with this person, so they can trust me. They know that I'm not going to go and tell their boss whatever they've told me.
Yes.
And I think you trust somebody from the outside, a stranger, more than somebody within the company, because you know that there's often things that happen there politically, and so I think it's easier to do that, and it's also easier for them to receive feedback from a stranger, for somebody who's who doesn't have any vested interest, and is just the only interest I have is to help them, improve. So um,
Absolutely.
those are some of the advantages of hiring, and that's why they often hire external leadership development coaches or mentors. And as you said early on, there's more flexibility with someone from the outside, and I'm just going to be holding that person accountable to doing the work they're supposed to be doing. So um, yeah, I mean, those are mainly the reasons that companies reach out to me.
That is for me what you say, and I'm very happy to hear that from you. It's the biggest advantage, and I make a note here. I have my list, and there is like the one point that I put on a square, and
Yeah.
because I wanted to say that at the end because it's not very obvious.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, no,
I
no,
killed your
no,
ending point.
it's very, very good to hear that because I think a lot of people don't realize that. So I always say, you hire. I I run many projects. I don't depend on your business 100%. So imagine you hire a sales manager. This sales manager, you are the only and unique source of income for him.
Mm.
So this guy is going to do everything that is needed to maintain his position. His agenda, his personal agenda, is to maintain, to stay with your company as
And
long
that
as
you're
possible.
successful. Yeah.
Exactly. For us, it's not like that because I don't depend on you, and that I don't depend on your company. That's good news for you
Yeah.
because I will tell you the truth. Because my intent is to bring your business forward,
Yeah.
not to play games, not to be diplomatic, not to be in the
Mm.
politics within your organization. So that is for me the biggest advantage. So you
Yeah.
hire somebody, and those guys are going to do the best possible they can to bring your business forward.
Yeah, I've been on both sides. So I was 22 years in the
Yes.
corporate world. So I was the person bringing people from the outside, and I mean, it's I think it often just comes down to nobody has the bandwidth just to deal with an extra project. So whenever you have something extra that needs to be done, it's much easier to bring in a professional from the outside who's already up and running, knows what they're doing, than to, as you said earlier on, go and find. It's really hard and expensive to recruit people. So and then I mean expensive on the, looking for them, going through the recruitment process, training them, and then maybe it doesn't work out and you have to start all over again. So it's
Of
and
course.
then there's all, the salary package benefits, all that. So
Yes.
I think there's definitely cases where it just makes sense to bring in someone from the outside, and businesses know that. I think most businesses see that very quickly. um, they just need to find the right person then, right?
I think that's the natural, let's say, development of when a company grows too much. I mean, I'm a person that the corporate world, it's not my cup of tea, so it's not something where I feel at home.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because if you work in a small business, then you have a direct relationship with the owner or the head of the company.
Mm.
So between you and the head of the company, there are no games and there is no politics because this person looks at his own interest. And
Mhm.
there you have a clear, it's clear the communication and
Mm.
there is no politics there. But when this company grows, then there is a lot of people in between,
Mhm.
which is not their own business. They look their own personal interest, which is fine. However, it creates an environment that is, well, it's you have to be the type of person to be able to navigate in an environment like that. I am not a person like that, so it's for me it was always very difficult to be part of.
Yeah, I think you've been burned because you mentioned this before, that
Yes.
I think it's all about finding the right person, right? And it's like I'd say every relationship. It's if you manage to find this person with who you have a good relationship, working relationship, you can do great things with them, whatever level of the company they are. It's about finding that person and
It
being
was
able
not.
to build that relationship.
It was not always. I mean, I don't want. Let me start with this. When I was um, selling back in many years ago, I was selling food to restaurants and hotels. So when you went to a restaurant where the owner was a nice guy, everybody was a nice guy. So when you went to a restaurant where the
Culture.
owner was kind of a weird person, then everybody was a kind of like,
Yeah,
because the head
it's the culture.
hired people through his
Yeah,
own criteria,
values. Yeah, and values, and
through
yeah,
his own values, and,
yeah,
and that applies to companies as well.
yeah.
Um, Now, there might be a company where everybody's nice and everybody's it's a very nice environment, and many people feel comfortable working in such an environment, and I understand that. It's just like, I think, what I felt in these good companies where all these nice people were, I felt like I can deliver much more.
Hmm.
But um, if I intend to do so, then that is going to be to bring friction with other members of the team. So it was, you have to, it's, I think it's a matter of your character and a matter of who you are as a person.
Yeah, and I think, as you say, when a company grows, it's very hard to maintain a culture. I mean, the culture comes from the top, and as much as as a CEO or a business owner, you want to maintain a certain culture. It's a lot of work because the more you grow, the
Yes,
more there's little groups of people that form themselves. It becomes departments, and they have their subcultures. So it just becomes very, very hard. So I get what you're saying about,
yes,
everybody sort of having their own agenda. But that's why I
yes.
think you need to find the people you want to work with. And that's one of the reasons why I started my business, was
Of
because I
course.
wanted to choose who I want to work with. So for me, it's not about corporate, small, big, what. It's about finding the right fit, right? Being on the same page. So I work with small businesses, big businesses, corporates, but one thing that's important is that they have this, that we share the same values, and that I feel that I can work with them, with integrity and being honest. And those are the things that are important to me. And I think it's the same for you, Alex, because from our discussions, it's come up a lot that, it's the integrity, the transparency, being able to be straightforward are really important values. So I think it's about finding those companies and businesses that match yours, right?
The integrity is the number one for me, because the skills, I mean, the sales skills you can learn. So I would prefer to have a, let's say, 70% salesperson with full integrity than to have like the sales rock star with zero integrity, because you can work on the skills. So the 70% is going to become, after a couple of months, the 80% and maybe the 90%. But the integrity, do you trust him? Can you count with him, so, or with her? So it's and I think it's something that is, maybe it's today's. I don't like to use this word today's, because it's what people always say.
No.
Always they blame the past generation, but
Yeah.
I think I have a valid point here, because I think that this online world, where there is no face-to-face communication, instead everybody's hiding behind the screen, um, developed also a culture of less integrity and less responsibility, because you can just disappear. You are one click away from disappearing. So maybe I have a point here, but again, that was it's not something that I like to say. So
I think it's what you're saying. It's basically that nowadays we just need to work harder, right? Because we don't have that face to face opportunity to bond with the person as we used to, which is, I believe, very important. And when building relationships, I just find that in person you build much stronger. So
The
not
most
having that,
important,
it's just you need to work harder, right? You need to make more efforts. There's things. There's it's a shift in the way we communicate.
yes, yes, it opens the. I mean, we increase the quantity of connections that we have. Our network increases, but the bond between the members of the network and the human relations, they suffer, I think, through this technology. But I mean, it's inevitable. You cannot have everything, no?
Yeah, that's true. But you can try and get a little bit of.
Yes, I'm trying to bring this like old kind of values, old-fashioned values in this new world, and I think. I mean, my advice to younger people would be like turn off the computer and your phone and use your mind and what makes sense for you. Don't let this uh, technology influence your sane way of thinking.
Mm.
Switch everything off and think for yourself. Does it make sense? Is what I want to do? And then you have the answer.
Mm. No, I think it'd be interesting to see in the next few years if there's a backlash on on the screens. I think it's already starting. People are getting a lot of screen fatigue and
Yes,
talking more and more about switching off. And I think even the younger generation might get to that at some point. I don't know. But I think it's about finding balance, right? It's about,
I think it's going to get more mature, the whole technology. And I think this overflow, we live in a world of overflow of information. I mean, you get like insane amounts of opinions. And so it's not so easy to digest. So if you can read a book sometimes, it really helps.
mm,
And it develops also parts of your brain that you are not going to develop by scrolling down the
mm.
Facebook or whatever other social media you have.
Yeah, but there's more and more apps now coming out that are meant to help you, switch off from social media. So,
Yes, but this what you are saying, it reminds me, all this. So it comes like the same. It's like this diet stuff that they tell you eat more of that so that you can lose. I mean, what about eat less or
mm,
so to bring the app on my life to meditate, for example. I mean, just meditate, silence for 10 minutes. You don't need an app to meditate.
okay, I see what you mean.
So yeah. Um, you want protein, eat an egg. You don't need the protein bar with. So it's yeah,
Go back
good.
to the simple life.
Exactly, exactly. Use the technology with maturity
Mhm.
and with some kind of wisdom, and then it's very valuable. But just to consume it like that, it's no good.
So we went a bit off a tangent about our added value on sales and
Yes,
leadership
we,
resource
we, we went away, but that's the beauty of this
beauty.
live stream, that it's a very humane live stream. Um, we are normal people. We are not
I
gurus.
confirm.
Yes, we offer, I think, value to our clients and network and friends. And yes, and that's the real world.
Yeah.
I will see you again in 2 weeks, Maria.
Yes,
And
we will.
I think we're going to
Hopefully
have
it will.
somebody else with us. And I hope it's going to be a little bit fresher here in
Yeah.
Barcelona.
Hopefully it will be a bit cooler. See
Good,
you
good,
soon.
good. See you
Bye.
soon. Thank you, Maria. Bye bye.